Hi friends! I wanted to create a little video series about your relationship to your houseplants. And when I say relationship, it's because I feel like everyone has a slightly different one when it comes to the plants in their home or office or environment. And through my years of experience, I feel like I can kind of, not teach, but maybe teach what I've learned for high maintenance or low maintenance. And really, I kind of feel like that's misleading in a way. So I have a lot of plants in my personal collection, but also there are a lot of them here right now that are visiting. They're on their way to other clients. I'm doing a couple interior design jobs right now, and so I have a variety of plants that I'd like to kind of point out and share my experience that I have had with these plants, so that might clear up a few misconceptions and help you going forward with your relationship with your plants in your home too. So let's start with what I feel over the years are by far the most high maintenance or need the most nurturing. So when I think high maintenance, I think what needs all my attention, what can I not leave alone, what can I overcare for all the time. And in my collection, I have a few of those. Not a huge amount because I just have too many plants in my world right now to have too many of those. So here's what I have learned. Well, first of all, this one is the opposite of that. This one is one of the most low maintenance. This is the Sansevieria. So mother-in-law tongue or snake plant. It's there's many different varieties. This is, I think, the coolest looking and also just the easiest plant in the world to take care of. You water it once every 2 weeks at the most, and it doesn't need any kind of bright light. It can be kind of any exposure, and it's super low maintenance. So if you are the kind of person who wants a plant to just look at, it's beautiful and not really have to overcare for it, this is the perfect one for you. Okay, but I have other plants that I feel like are super high maintenance or high nurturing. If you really like to care for your plants, here's a few plants for you. First and foremost, ferns. Ferns need all kinds of attention, and I have learned over the last couple of years that when they get houseplant pests, which I think you guys have all seen me deal with in the last couple of years, I actually think it's kind of like the universe putting all of the pests in my house at a certain point in the last couple of years so that I could then learn how to deal with them and share my experience, so that hopefully you guys can also, and also I've learned from all of you what to do and what not to do. And I always like to treat everything with as much organic and sustainable practices as possible. So I've actually learned quite a bit how to do that. So you can always visit on Instagram, you can always visit my highlights under pests to see all the different plants. There's quite a few of them in here and over there and in the bathroom that I have been having an experience with in the last couple of years. So ferns, back to ferns. So they, unfortunately, the ferns in my home, I got aphids, and they had fungus gnats, but those are gone, and now they have aphids. And I actually gave up on my very, very beautiful maidenhair fern. I was about to put it in the compost, which I also want to say, no shame in that. Like probably 1/10 of my plants over the last 5 years have made their way to the compost because for some reason, either they have pests that I can't treat, or they got left in the sun, or they didn't get enough light for some reason, or they got overwatered, underwatered. They didn't make it. It's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. You can't be perfect all the time. And some plants just aren't meant for you. So compost away. The ferns. So the maidenhair fern got aphids really badly. And I went ahead and cut it back and basically assumed that it was not going to come back to life. But it has. And this is why it looks really sad right now. But this is the process, right? Occasionally your plants are going to look really sad and not beautiful and lush and perfect. So here's what I have to do to my fern every day. Every single day, at least once a day, if not more. So my maidenhair fern, my rabbit's foot fern, my Boston fern, all of them need lots of misting because my environment, even though I have a humidifier on, it's really, really conducive to things like succulents and even monstera, cactus, philodendron. But when it comes to ferns, ferns need so much humidity. This is an overcaring type of situation. So you'd love to nurture, get yourself some ferns. Make sure it doesn't have aphids. If it does, you can still treat it. It's just tricky. I'm still battling aphids on all of my ferns right now. The other plant that I feel like needs a lot of love, besides ferns, I feel like Monstera is something that can need a lot of love, because if it gets houseplant pests like thrips, like mine did, it does need a lot of care. So a few of mine have come out of the soil. They're also prone to getting fungus gnats for whatever reason. If I get fungus gnats, they're almost always in my Monstera pots. So thrips and fungus gnats, something that really attack Monstera. If they don't have any kind of houseplant pests, then Monsteras are quite easy to take care of. They just like a lot of water, about once every 2 weeks, and then you leave them alone. They deal with any kind of exposure. They don't love being in direct hot sun. Other than that, they're pretty cool. Right now, mine get a few hours a day of winter light, really. I feel like those are maybe fern. Like I said, ferns I feel like the real high maintenance, high nurturing plant to have around. Alocasia can be, so can stromanth. I learned this. So this stromanth, I don't know, I'm not very good with pronunciation of plants, sorry guys. Actually really loves a good misting every day. It lived in my shower for a while, but now it's a little bit too sunny in there, and I don't think that it loves it. So plants like stromanth or ferns, you think of them where they live, or even marantas or calatheas. They live kind of in the understory of bigger plants and in more rainforesty type environments. So if you can go ahead and recreate that environment in your home, awesome. That's kind of what I try to do for other for clients and for people who are asking advice about plants. Over the years, if you think about it, we brought these plants in from their natural environment, and now we're trying to recreate that natural environment for them so that they will thrive. Let's see. Let's move on to the easier care plants. So I feel like the gateway plant for me years ago, and I think it's one that is wonderful for most people, are succulents and cacti. The reason being is they're very forgiving. They really just need a lot of light, but very little water. They're the kind of plant that you can water once and forget about it for even up to a month, depending on the conditions, and they'll forgive you. The other plant, the Sansevieria, I've already touched on. Super easy, low maintenance plant. Pothos are easy, low maintenance plants. If they don't get pests, string of pearls are really easy. Again, the succulents, so easy, so wonderful. The non-succulent easy care plants are spider plants, pothos, philodendron, and Sansevieria. I think those are my, alocasia are somewhere in the middle, I feel like. But let me move, and Jade. Super easy, Jade. In fact, I should show you mine because I'm so happy with it. I just got this. I did not grow it or bonsai it or anything, but Jade I feel like are a plant that is just, you see them in office buildings, just like Sansevieria and snake plants, and spider plants, because they really are so easy to care for. So they like light, but they don't have to have like constant exposure. They can also live in just bright and direct light, water them once every 2 weeks, and they're super happy, and they're so sculptural. So just want to touch on the jade plant. Ficus elastica is another one. It's super, super easy. Again, if it doesn't have any house plant pests. This one had spider mites a couple months ago. It is now pretty happy, and I don't see any. Hey! Sansevieria. But I really, really want to touch on this. So you guys saw the roots of this beauty before I planted it up, and I wanted to show you what happens when we go to a different houseplant situation with the same houseplant. So I think the best way to describe it is this, what I'm trying to kind of get across with this video, and kind of my thoughts on houseplant care is you can take a plant like a spider plant that is virtually just the easiest plant in the world to care for, and you can make it a high maintenance plant depending on the situation that you put it in your home, or your office. This guy was hanging. He's in a box right now because I was trying to keep the dirt to a minimum. He was hanging. I took him off of the hanger because I'm going to be repotting him for the office that I'm redecorating. And I want to show you what I'm talking about, how to make it high maintenance. So, I loosened this up earlier, but I want to show you. So, you see these beautiful, beautiful roots? I know, they're amazing, just art forms in nature. I love roots. You can kind of get lost in them. Sorry, I got lost. The reason why it can be high maintenance is here it is root bound. And in order to keep this really happy in this situation, I've had to water it every single day. High maintenance for a low maintenance plant. What I'm going to do with this one is loosen the roots really well. And what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did for his friend to make it a lower maintenance situation, which is this. So I loosened the roots. I got a pot for it that is going to be hanging from the office. I have drainage at the bottom of it. I added soil around the outside of it, and then I loosened the roots and planted it in here, and I added soil around the middle and the top of it, and then I watered it really well. So basically I just turned the same exact plant from a high maintenance and lots of nurturing situation into a much lower maintenance situation. So now I only need to water this about once every week to once every 2 weeks, depending on the environment in the office. If during the summer it'll get warmer, so we'll water it more often. During the winter it won't get as warm. It also won't get as bright light, so things don't need the same amount of water throughout the entire year because the seasons change. So hopefully that illustrates well kind of how you can grow your relationship with your plants depending on your environment and your personality. I hope that answers some questions for you. I'm always happy to answer questions. I get tons of DMs every day, and I do love just having a relationship with all of you out there to help you feel more confident and kind of have this daily ritual of taking care of plants or just enjoying what they can do in your environment, so that then they can ground you and be a foundation for you to then go out into the world and appreciate our natural world in a different way. And hopefully that will spread, and we'll all gain a different awareness and appreciation of our natural world too. Okay friends, hope you have a beautiful day. Cheers.